Dear White Paper, where we erase the mystery behind public relations and paint the value of what it can do for your business, brand, career, community, and everyday life. Join us as we have some real talk discussions about hottest trends in news, media, and culture, as well as help small businesses and entrepreneurs with strategies and tips. Hey everyone, welcome to Dear White Paper. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Lanetra King, founder of Indicator LLC, where we help small business owners and entrepreneurs who are doing really dope things and bringing visibility to what they do. And you can follow Indicator PR at Indicator PR, INDIEKATER PR on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. And I have my co-host with me. Hey, Rania.
Hey, Lanetra.
So we have Rania, our co-host.
Hey guys, I'm Rania and I am owner of Purpose Promotions based in Columbia, South Carolina. I wear a lot of hats, but you can keep up with me at purposepromotions.net or on Instagram at RaniaKJ. I'm also on Facebook, so please feel free to friend me and keep up with me as I go along with all these amazing PR journeys.
And hey, Victoria.
Hey, Lanetra. Hey guys, I am Victoria Ray, owner of Victoria Ray Public Relations based in Charleston, South Carolina. I specialize in working with clients related to beauty, art, culture, and hospitality. And you can keep up with me if you want on Instagram at Charleston PR Girl.
Awesome. So we are going to get started with our first segment, Hot Off the Press. And this is where we educate you and entertain you through news, media, and culture. Now, keep in mind, these topics are not necessarily the latest topics, but they're topics that we feel are worth discussing to have some great conversation around. So let's go ahead and get into some tea. So did you guys see the Aretha Franklin funeral?
All 72 hours.
I mean, the thing is, my mom was watching it, right? She was bugging me all week. She was saying, do you know where I can catch Aretha Franklin funeral? So finally, the day of, I saw a BET post that they were going to be airing it live.
Right.
So I said, okay, Mom, it's at 10 a.m. You can watch it. And she was glued to the TV the whole entire time. And keep in mind, it was until like 5 p.m. or so. So I did watch most of it. Now, the thing I have to say that stood out to me is Ariana Grande. So apparently Aretha Franklin really liked Ariana Grande. She really liked her voice. So I guess this is one of the reasons why she was selected to perform. Now, there were different performers, Jennifer Hudson, Fantasia, Faith Hill.
Yeah.
And the thing that stood out to me about Ariana Grande was what she was wearing. So keep in mind, she's performing at a Black traditional church. she had on, her top was fine. She had on a black top, and then she had on this really short black skirt. And I was just like,
I'm going to pull this up right now.
Yeah, I'm like, it was short. And I'm like, okay, did her publicist know about this? Did her stylist recommend this to her?
Right.
Like, what was the deal?
Yeah, I as I mentioned, I did watch it. I didn't watch it live. I DVR'd it and kind of, watched it as I cleaned up the next day.
Right.
And that performance definitely stood out because, again, she was in the pulpit, the sacred African American church pulpit, and in a very short skirt, and there was a very awkward exchange at the very end that got a lot of attention in this current Me Too movement generation that we're in. And so the pastor, I believe, embraced her in a means to try to, it was just a very awkward moment. I think it was kind of awkward for him and for her. And so he embraced her in a way that was interpreted as being inappropriate, and that hit headlines afterwards.
So, and I saw some clips of that interaction. I'm looking at her dress right now, and I think, Lanetra, to your question of did her publicist approve this look? Did a stylist approve this look? I do think it's important as advisors to public figures that we do our best to inform them of cultural sensitivities.
Yes.
So, if we're saying from our perspectives, from what we know culturally, from our upbringings, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate in a given setting, then part of our job is to bring awareness to that level of sensitivity. Whether or not that happened in this situation, I can't really say for certain. I don't think she looks bad at all.
She looks great.
She looks great. It's just not culturally fitting. Correct. Now, if she were to wear that to New York Fashion Week or some other performance, completely fine.
Right.
And then what if she had a publicist who didn't grow up in that culture and who had no idea that it was even an issue?
Exactly, which may be the case.
And so I think, like, when we're kind of discussing it, that rather than emphasizing right choice, wrong choice, it's we do have to think, did she have a circle of advisors around her who were able to give her that kind of insight?
Right.
And to this kind of awkward exchange, that moment, did she put out any kind of statement?
It took a while for her to. The pastor actually did a video first. And there was also a joke that was made that when he saw her name on the list, he thought it was...
That was really impressive.
Yeah.
That actually, when he said he thought it was something about Taco Bell new... Yeah. Now, I thought that was the more inappropriate... Like, when I watched it, that made me cringe more than him trying to, give her that little sideways hug,
I think he was trying to... And he even said in the video that he was just trying to bring light to... it's a funeral, He was trying to bring light to it. Now, that awkward moment where he was hugging her, and I saw this live, I honestly did not think anything of it. I didn't think he was trying to touch her inappropriately. And I guess I grew up in a really traditional African-American church, and that's just how they are. They give you that hug like that, but maybe she didn't grow up in that environment, and it was awkward for her.
Did the internet make it
yes,
I think so. I think so because when I saw it, like I said, I cringed with his response about the Taco Bell thing. I thought that was extremely insensitive and inappropriate for him. But
that kind of took a back seat.
That took a big back seat to the slow motion hug.
And to answer your question.
That's a grab.
There's like screen grabs of her face, and I'm wondering, was that really happening? Or
that really did happen.
Right.
That really did happen.
It did. But it was kind of, again, my interpretation as a viewer, it was an awkward moment, I think, on both sides. He, kept her up there longer than I think any other artist. Most artists came out, they said what they were saying, they sang, and then they walked away. But it was like he tried to kind of bring her in more. The other thing is, there were all these memes that also went around. Oh my gosh,
the memes were
Clinton
hilarious.
And Farrakhan, and who else was behind? Sharpton.
Yes,
and their eyes were like, because she got this short skirt. The other thing that I did also hear about was, so she and Aretha did have a relationship, but it was Aretha's, I think, grandchildren who are big Ariana Grande fans. And she did an appearance on Jay Leno, I'm dating myself. The Tonight Show with, oh my gosh, why can't I call his name? Tonight Show with
Jimmy Fallon.
Thank you, Lord, Jimmy Fallon. And when she was on the show, she had on these short shorts. And when she went to sit down, she couldn't figure out how to sit without, as she said, letting it all hang out. So she was Ariana Grande. And so, but that was right after Aretha's passing. So she sang Natural Woman, and the family saw it and then invited her to do the funeral.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, she did make a statement late saying that she didn't take any offense to it, basically. So I want to ask you guys, have you ever dealt with a client who had a whole team, like a publicist, a manager, a stylist, just the whole big team together? Nah, but I wish I did. I know one client in particular, when I first got into PR, they were a music client and they didn't have a manager or anything else. So a lot of times, like, my role would get crossed in wearing so many different hats. I was their booking agent, their stylist, and that can just put you in a position where you feel like you're giving other duties other than being able to focus solely on PR. So I wish I did have a client that had a big team like that, because it does make things a lot easier and it allows you to kind of stay in your lane and be able to focus and give all of your attention to what you do.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. And and I think the only other thing that I wanted to underscore before we transition to a fun topic I want to bring up is that, again, it's so important to have people in your team who you listen to, who can be honest with you.
Yes.
And so in this situation, maybe the research wasn't done, which, again, small business owners, individuals, make sure you do your research before you show up. But in addition, make sure you have somebody that can be real and honest with you and say, you know what, that would be perfect for New York Fashion Week, but not on the pulpit at an African American funeral.
Right.
So I wanted to share with you all and kind of let you know I'm like all in my feels about the recent Nike ad that came out days before the NFL season kicked off. Nike was really bold, and they featured Colin Kaepernick, who is a NFL player who has basically been ostracized because he has led the kneeling in terms of protesting during the anthem. And he was kind of the first one to do that. He played for the San Francisco 49ers at the time. But he has gotten so ostracized that he no longer possibly has a future to come back onto a football field. Yeah, it's that bad. There are some lawsuits underway, and so it was very interesting for Nike to do what they did, because Colin Kaepernick has been one of their clients, or they've had an endorsement deal on the books with him. But as they were going through their negotiations with Nike, they weren't doing a lot to feature Colin, so it was easy to kind of maybe forget that they may still have an active contract with Colin Kaepernick. Well, days before the NFL season kicked off, they launched this really amazing, bold ad campaign, which is part of their effort to also give Colin Kaepernick an opportunity to go back to merchandising. So he, in addition to being fully featured on this ad, has a full line of merchandise that will rival the top NFL players that are out there this season. And so it was a bold statement for the Nike to do this. And of course the ad, hopefully you guys have seen it.
Yes, I did see it on the ad. I was actually scrolling through Instagram and I saw Trey Songz post it. And they are good friends. And I was like, wow, I love this. And also when I went to Facebook, I saw something that was going really viral, which was this guy in Louisiana. He went to his local mall, and as he was walking in, he saw a homeless guy sitting on the corner, and he said, hey, do you want some new shoes? So he went and brought him some Nike shoes, some Nike socks, and then he went around the mall asking different parents, hey, can I buy your kids some clothes? Wow. And I mean, I'm not just talking, one outfit or a shirt. Right. Like, he brought them multiple outfits and shoes, and it was just so touching to see that and to see how it's affecting different communities as well.
Yeah.
I think the reason it's so sensitive is because the current social climate is pretty polarized. Mm-hmm. So when it came to the NFL players choosing to take a knee during the national anthem, there were a group of collective voices that were able to understand that what they were making was in fact a statement about their personal beliefs, and there were others who felt that it was not patriotic, they wanted to hold anybody accountable who could attempt to understand this. They felt that you all represented anti-patriotism. So I think that that's why it's such a relevant conversation, even now. I do like that the slogan of the ad campaign is believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything.
Yes. And that's powerful.
Because that's exactly what Colin did.
He did. And I mean, again, it is expected that he will never play another down of football. He has made his money off of that. That's been his career. But because of him being willing to take a stand and step out, that is no longer available to him. However, this again has also been a huge polarizing situation for the community in Kenner, Louisiana. So kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, the mayor in Kenner, Louisiana banned the purchase of Nike equipment and merchandise for the recreation department. And after this ad came out now, so this not purchasing from Nike beforehand was okay. This ad drops and it's not okay anymore. And so the city went into total protest. They showed up in record numbers, and the people demanded this is not okay. The interesting thing about that was just back in January, they had a police-involved shooting of a young, innocent, person. And that person the police officer is still employed by the local police department. So it was at a time where the tensions are very high. Needless to say, the people protested, the mayor rewound that, and now they can purchase from Nike. But I got a question with all of this, ladies. And that question is, have you had a client who was willing to make a bold statement and step out and be willing to make a stand for a cause?
Oh, good job, lady. Yeah, I think it's important, and it can be really delicate because of the current climate. I'm working with a collective of artists right now, and different artists, different mediums, different passions, but our shared vision is what ties us together, and part of that vision is that we denounce the cultural impact of gentrification.
Oh, good.
So we're all about economic growth and development and neighborhoods and communities, but there are negative cultural impacts of growth, and we have to be proactive in counterbalancing those. So right now, that's someone who I'm working with right now, and I said that to say, I think that we can support our clients and their beliefs. It's important that either the values align with our own, so that as we are reflective of one another, it's accurate, or we're able to understand our client's point of view and their passions and their whys enough so that even if we don't fully agree, we feel confident supporting them in their beliefs.
Right. So, that's right. And that sacrifices everything, right?
If you really, what do you live for?
Right. And just like we were talking about the artist with what was the Main Street Public House?
Yes, Main Street Public House.
Right, how he took a stance on a social issue, and he went out to social media and stood up for what was right. So, as a business owner, don't be afraid to stand up for what is right. That's a part of showing your authenticity.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think that this is a good opportunity to emphasize compassion and understanding, because we're saying to stand for your beliefs. And so for those who feel strongly in their convictions, again, we can disagree without being disagreeable.
That's right.
So, that's when we're talking about Nike and Colin Kaepernick and, was he being an activist? Was he being anti-patriotic? We can have opinions about it, and that's okay. And they don't have to be the same.
Right.
And I think if we look at it the right way, that's part of the beauty of the world we're in. In fact, try to surround yourself with people who maybe believe a little bit differently.
And I know we need to wrap up and switch gears, but I think the one other thing, I just really want to emphasize for folks out there is the fact that, when you stand for something like Nike is making a very bold statement by really doing this, there are going to be people who are not going to support you as you move forward.
And that's okay.
But as we've talked before, quality brings quantity. So you will be able to continue to target those people that share those beliefs and get more of them. So I know people who have brought out Nike stuff or have gone and purchased Nike stuff, like the man you mentioned in Louisiana, that would have normally not done that because they're so proud of that brand. So it's a good business move and a good decision to be bold in your choices.
And speaking of people wearing Nike, New York Fashion Week.
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer Lewis.
Right. Well, and she actually wore Nike at the Emmys. And so she was on her red carpet interview. She wore a Nike. So the fall is a big season in pop culture and entertainment.
Definitely.
New York Fashion Week in the fall showcases everything that's going to be trending, hot, and happening for spring the following year.
Right.
So everyone comes out. Celebrities come out. Designers come out. There's parties. There's after parties.
Right.
There's press. There's fringe events. Right. The city totally lights up, and that's part of my favorite time of year to be plugged into my social media. So I was wondering, were you guys keeping up with anything during Fashion Week this year?
Yes, I definitely was. I definitely was on social media, specifically Instagram. I saw a lot more on Instagram. And actually, there was an event. Let me make sure I have the right event here. But basically, at this event, so many of you, I don't know if you know, Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, who are two rappers, they have had kind of a history of quote unquote beef. Okay. And they were both at this event during New York Fashion Week. And I want to get the actual event here.
Was it the Billboard?
It was the Harper Bazaar.
Harper Bazaar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so both of them are there. And Cardi B, I guess, is saying that Nicki Minaj said something about her daughter. So Cardi B has, I believe her daughter may be 9 months old, or maybe a little younger. Less than a year old. And so they both have their security entourages. So Cardi didn't really get to Nicki, but she did throw a shoe at her. And Nicki still didn't get.
My question is what kind of
harm.
shoe?
Right. I know it was red. I can say that. I know it was red. But Nicki went away with no physical harm. Okay. But Cardi B did, I guess she got nudged by security and she walked away with this knot here. But the interesting thing is, one thing is that Nicki Minaj walked out and she had this impromptu photo shoot, and people were focusing on that, she walked away unbothered. And then the second thing is Cardi B's publicist was there. And when security, I guess, was trying to diffuse the situation, she said, something along the lines of, get away from us or get away from me. And there was a lot of controversy around how she handled the situation. So from a publicist standpoint, a lot of times your clients become family, and it's like, okay, do you take the role of ride or die, or do you take the role of putting on your business PR hat?
Right.
Well, and does ride or die mean, positioning your client's brand, always putting the brand before everything?
Right.
Or does ride or die
That's
mean, hey, if you go in, we go in?
Right.
So what does ride or die
Right. What does it mean? Right.
And I think that's a real intriguing piece of New York Fashion Week. I was paying attention to, they have revamped the dressing rooms. So in the Me Too culture that we're in, New York Fashion Week has realized that the models have been being pretty much exploited. And, you go behind stage, they strip you down, you're naked, things are out. Mm-hmm. And many times they have young individuals who are juveniles under the age of 18 as models. So how, you would just automatically assume we all dress privately, bathrooms or bedrooms with shut doors, right? Yeah, so you assume that they have, dressing rooms. But this year's New York Fashion Week, they installed dressing rooms for the first time so that they could recognize that and be thoughtful. Yeah. They also put a limit to juveniles participating in the runway experience. So I'm sure that there are other ways that they'll be showcasing those who are under 18. But it also reminded me of the Miss America pageant. We got rid of the swimsuit competition this year. And so I say all of that to say that, there's a new awareness within our communities these days. And so as business owners, it's so important to be knowledgeable and pay attention to these things, because I had a client recently who wanted to set up a booth at an upcoming trade show, and they were planning to do a photo booth, right? We didn't think anything of it. They were going to have cool little fun props. Mm-hmm. And the more we thought about it, it was like, well, this is kind of a male dominated industry. And so you're going to a women's event. And yes, even though women may be your primary target, you need to be very careful about how you're going to set these pictures up and take these pictures so that you don't cross the line of being exploitive.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Talk about it. Fashion Week is influencing rap. It's influencing sensitivity toward women.
Right.
I mean, that's what we say. Pop culture, entertainment culture, it really is just representative of it encompasses everything. It's it's right now. It's contemporary. So yeah, that's great. I guess then my question would be for you guys. I had one planned. New York Fashion Week.
And then I think you talked about the Cardi and the Nicki Minaj.
Being in the same industry.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got two rappers and they've got a situation. You've got this full week in New York City where there's brands on brands on brands. Right. Primarily in the fashion industry, but also in music and entertainment. So have you ever worked with multiple artists or multiple clients in the same industry? So a restaurant and two restaurants, or a singer and two singers at the same time.
I'll go right
same time.
Middle. So I'll answer that. And short answer is yes. I do a lot of political consulting work. And of course, those seasons all interlap at one time. Right. So there was one season where I primarily do a lot of radio buys and placement for political campaigns and other communications work. And there was one season where I had 7 clients that I was purchasing radio for at once. And so the challenge was, making sure that I did not cross over in terms of messaging, right? We had to remember that when we were doing an ad for this client, that it was specific for those targeted voters. And then on this end, I also had to make sure that this one appealed to those voters, etc. But The one thing that it does do is it allows you to, on our side, really be able to develop the relationships you need to open the doors for your clients when you do have that connection.
Right,
So they know that, oh, I know if Rania is coming, you know, she's going to come with not just one, but possibly 5 to 7, you know, then I'm going to pay attention to anything she needs. So if I need a little extra studio time, if I need a little extra this, that, and other, you know, I won't say what all those extra things are right now, but I can get those extra things. I can get those hard questions and favors asked. And so it's a great thing, but it also can be a big challenge in terms of how do you juggle it all? How do you make sure that you don't mesh the two? And where it's possible to combine them, you know, that's a wonderful thing. But making sure you're staying authentic to each brand it can be a challenge.
Sounds like you got it.
Well, great conversation, ladies. That wraps up our first segment. Make sure to stay tuned to our second segment, CPR.
Hi, my name is Kevin Grant, and I'm the owner of Gifted Grant Productions. And the fact that I'm the CEO, I just wanted to provide quality entertainment to the world. And it's through my fictional character, Nellis the Peacock. And the book series that I created is Nellis Quest. I'm the author and the finisher of Nellis the Peacock, which is about Nellis and his friends trying to fight against anti-bullying. And the reason why I wanted to come out with a character of Nellis is because I wanted to portray someone that looks defenseless, and pretty much he uses fighting defenses to fight against bullies. So I just wanted to build morale. And basically I have a couple of questions. The fact that I wanted to become well known, my questions are, how can I become well known in the public sector? Question number 2, what roles can you provide that will help me reach those avenues? And question number 3, how can I avoid different temptations such as stage fright or self-awareness? But other than that, that's pretty much it. That's my bio. Basically, I just wanted to provide quality entertainment to the world, and I believe that's why I'm here to do so.
Back to our segment, CPR. Thank you for still tuning in. CPR is our segment where we love helping small businesses and entrepreneurs, giving them an opportunity to showcase their brand and their business, and presenting a challenge that we provide some good tips and strategies. We welcome back our good friend Tiffany James from The Comet, who is joining us for this segment. So thank you so much for submitting your video, Kevin. I love that you are supporting anti-bullying, because that is something that's so prevalent. Have you considered trying to partner with any type of organization or nonprofit who supports anti-bullying? I would definitely recommend that. Also, as far as stage fright and being nervous and things like that, practice, first of all. Second of all, I feel if you truly speak from, it sounds like you're really passionate about this. So if you truly speak from your passion, then that should be something that helps kill your nerves as well, because you're just thinking about the passion that you have for this and just portraying that. Also, if you're using social media, now you can use, like when you go live, you can do audio instead of going live when they're seeing your face and things like that. So also try to use a lot of more audio media as well.
Well, and I'd like to say that you talked about how to become more, create more awareness around your personal brand and getting out there. It looks like Nellis is a pretty impressive character based off of what we could see on the video in terms of the figure that you had in your hand. So it's a beautifully designed character, but it's going to be important that you make the right connections and continue to network, but also making sure that, as you mentioned, that you are getting out there with others who are doing like work. In terms of getting over the stage fright and improving your public speaking skills, you know, I think for some folks that's a natural thing for us, but for others that's a bit of a challenge challenge. And so in addition to practice, get help. And you asked, how could a public relations professional help you? And that is one of the ways that we could help you. We could provide individual training to let you know what you need to improve on, how to do videos and other productions, photos even, as with a shoestring budget, but still be professional when you do it and put it out there. So definitely seek out the advice of or retain a public relations professional until you can continue to improve in those areas.
These are great tips. So something specific that you may be able to implement right away. I understand that you're the CEO of your production company, and right now the primary product that you're putting out is this anti-bullying book. So while your ultimate goal is to be visible as a personal brand, as a CEO, and to entertain people, if you focus in on what you've got right now, which is the book, and allow that to be the vehicle, you can start directly within your community or within your region and target maybe libraries or schools and find out if there are opportunities for you to come in and present your book to the students. So you're immediately getting in front of children who really need to hear your message, and you're also building relationships with the adults who are the administrations and the educators in these establishments. And if you, again, speak to them with passion and conviction, you never know where those relationships will guide you. And then how can a PR person help you with that and also with the stage fright? You could sit down with a professional, communications professional like any of us, explain all of your vision, all of your whys, all of your everything, and then one of us could help you tailor that into really concise statements so that when you are getting in front of people, you're able to deliver confidently. It can be a complete speech if that's what you want, or it could just be some highlights that you can integrate into all of your conversations that create a consistency in your messaging, and that'll help with your confidence because you won't just be going off the cuff all the time.
Right.
So
yes, I absolutely agree with all of these ladies. You have a great product, and you have a great product, and you're very passionate about your product, and you're passionate about the message behind it. I would say align yourself with organizations and people who have the same message that you do. There's a lot of anti-bullying campaigns going on. There's a lot of anti-bullying organizations that you could connect with and network. Join a board of a youth organization. Go to school PTAs and talk to the parents and the students. Get a table and promote your book and your character at school events, at festivals. You have a great product, and I think that you really could just connect with the people with your product. As far as stage fright, I'm a performer, so I feel it all the time. So with stage fright, you just feel the fear and do it anyway. That's how I approach life with a lot of things that I do. I feel like here's a stage, wherever I'm at, here's the stage, just feel the fear and do it anyway.
That's right.
You know your conviction, you know your purpose, and that is what is going to drive you. And definitely hook up with a good PR firm, and they will give you your messaging. You can talk to them about, what your end goal is, and they will give you your messaging, and you will still have that fear, but you will have help, and you have people behind you who believe in your message and believe in your product. And I think you'll go a very long way.
So thank you, Tiffany, so much for joining us today again.
Appreciate it.
And thank you guys for tuning into Dear White Paper, and join us next time.
remember to keep up with us. You can connect with Dear White Paper on Facebook, Dear White Paper, Instagram, Dear White Paper. You can email your video submissions to dearwhitepaper@gmail.com. And if you know of some really hot topics, send us those to the email as well.
Yay!
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye. Thank you for watching Dear White Paper. Learn something new? Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Dear White Paper. Want to submit a video for our CPR segment? Email us at dearwhitepaper@gmail.com. Join us in 2 weeks for another episode.